Hey, hey, how are you?
Yeah, Ken and Ken.
Ken and Ken. Yeah. Now, this is actually the second time we've spoken.
Yeah, yeah.
I spoke to you when your book came out
All right.
2
Yeah,
years ago or
yeah.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
How are things?
Good. Busy, busy.
I can
Very busy.
imagine. I can imagine.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the new album.
Oh, thank you very much.
The songs I've heard sound fantastic.
Oh, thanks a lot, Ken.
That's
Appreciate it.
amazing stuff. What the hell took you so long to do this? I've been waiting for 10 years to hear some
Oh,
KK.
that's a good question, really. I mean, I guess basically it was just the fact that I had always been so kind of loyal and devoted, to Judas Priest since late 1968, and I could never ever see myself doing anything outside of that, which I didn't all of the decades, obviously while I was in the band. I never, Rob and Glenn, they took off and did a few solo albums and stuff, but so it was hard for me. It was a hard bullet to bite, because I felt it was so much in my blood and veins, and I was kind of expecting and waiting for all of that to turn around. But it took 10 years to really for me to sink in that it was never going to happen, Ken. So I just thought, okay, I need to do this now. The time clock's ticking. I
Right.
need to get on and get a move on and get some music out. So here I go, and I'm already working on the next album as we speak.
Well, get it out sooner than 10 years, please.
Yeah, yeah. Oh no. I work really, really, really quite quickly because all of the songs and the music for this album came about very, very quickly. It's just COVID that's dragged everything out.
Right. What
So
was the writing process like on this? Was it mostly just you?
yeah, it was because we did a show, me and Ripper and Les and the guys in November 2019. And then a month later, Christmas, I thought, you know what? Because I'd written to the band and said, like, are you sure the door's closed? And they said, it's closed. So I said, right. So I shut myself away Christmas. I thought that was a good time to get some work done. Lots of people do work a lot over Christmas, don't they? I'm one of those guys. So I just got stuck in, and it happened really, really fast. And I promised the label that I'd deliver their album at the end of April. I was totally on course to do that, but the teeth of the COVID bit deep, and it all stopped.
Right.
Studios closed, the hotels closed, everything shut down. So I thought, okay, here we go. So, but yeah, eventually this year, because we had gigs booked last year and we had gigs booked this year. So with all that getting cancelled, I said to the label, let's put the album out, let's get out there, put me in touch with the world, the fans and the media, let me say hello. And so that's kind of what happened.
So, what was it like getting back into the studio again with your own songs? I know you've done some guest solo spots on a couple albums, but your own
Yeah.
songs, what was it like?
Really good, to be honest. I never imagined that this world existed until I got into it, and now it does. It's a new lease of life. The caged animal has been let out onto the prairie, so the world's my oyster now. No restrictions, collaborations, or having to confer with people. So that is very, very refreshing, really. And I can move at my pace, which is really quite quickly, to be fair.
Is that the opposite of what it was with Judas Priest? Very slow with Priest?
It did slow up after about 1985. It started to slow down a bit, I think, And I think that happens with a lot of bands. Success, with success, I don't know why it is, but it becomes like several years between albums, doesn't it? Not as though I'm a big fan of that, but we kind of fell into that, and it happens to a lot of bands, I think. I mean, even since I haven't been with the band, there's only been 2 records from the band in 10 years.
Right.
I expect to do 2 records in 1 year.
Well, that's the pace you used to have with Priest, an album a
Yeah,
year,
yeah.
sometimes 2 in the same year.
Yeah, we did. But yeah, I'm going back to that.
Well, bring it back. I miss those days.
Yeah.
I love those times. Every year, a new Judas Priest album. It was great back then.
Yeah. So I suppose in retrospect, this is kind of because it's kind of a new old start or an old new start or somewhere in between. Getting back to those kind of values is pretty good, and that kind of intensity, the work ethic is good. Like I say, everything's slowed down because of the COVID thing. But back in February, I had a 4 or 5 days where I stuck in. I thought I'll see what can be happening with the next record, and in those few days got the backbone of the next record. But obviously, I'm looking forward to collaborating with all the other the guys, because it's new and needs to be done, and so hopefully we can get stuck in and get some more material out, and hopefully release another record next year. Within a 12-month time frame of releasing this record.
Fantastic. You got quite the band here. It's nice to see Ripper back with you.
Yeah. It was disappointing that Les couldn't do the full journey with us, but Les is gonna special guest with us. I just was in contact with Les a few days ago. He contacted me and says, "Let me know when it can be happening." I says, "Oh, will you be the first person to know?" We're happy for people to special guest with us, but to be back on stage again with Les playing the songs that he was a part of, Beyond the Realms of Death and Hell There for Leather, and all of those songs, and Before the Dawn, all of that stuff, it's very nostalgic and nice for us to be able to revisit, so late in the day.
This might not be the most popular Judas Priest opinion, but those 2 albums with Les Binks are my 2 favorites.
Yeah, they were important albums for the band, really, and it was just, but yeah, I mean, each album sort of like hallmarks the particular era in your life, as it does with the fans, because we take our music with us, and it just for me, when I play certain albums, it takes me back to a certain period in my life, maybe when I first had my first beer, first serious girlfriend, or whatever it might be, and it's all very, very special. So that's what music means to us, and why it's so important to us, and why we'll never forget.
Right. So tell us about the other guys on the album.
Yeah, obviously Tony Newton on bass. Tony is not so much a veteran as me, because he's not my age, but Tony's very experienced, in the studio and on stage, and he's a bass thunder god. I mean, and I said to Tony, when we do this record, I want to hear everything that you do, and I want to create some space for you to do some things, because I'm a big bass fan. I like to hear the bass like we used to be able to in the old days. And so that's worked out really, really well. Very pleased with the production on the album. I got stuck in there, and that was good, and Tony helped me to be able to hear everything in the way that I wanted to hear it, which was really good. It's great to have the hands on the controls, KK's controls, so that's good, and it's very pleasing to get the product to sound the way that you want it to sound.
Did you produce as well?
Yep.
Oh, nice. Okay, good. That's one thing you touched on, something that I was going to ask you a little later, but I think it's great that you're giving room to the other musicians as opposed to just making it all KK all the time. It's a band.
Oh yeah, it's a band as well. And AJ on the guitar. AJ's come up through the ranks. I met him when he was young, you know, and he's got great capabilities, and he can go even further without a doubt, you know. But he's dedicated, you know, to this style of music as well, and plays it exceptionally well. And I share out the solos, you know, equally. Like I say, and I get to play more solos, which I was left wanting on recent Judas Priest albums. So that's good for me because I can do this stuff.
Yeah.
And I enjoy doing it. And I like, as people will hear on the record, there's a lot of unusual stuff. And I like to go into the world of unusualness, if that's a word.
Well,
when it comes to creating kind of, you know, fresh guitar things, especially for the two guitar duo thing, you know, harmony stuff and things like that. People will hear a lot of that on this record, you know, and that's what I enjoy doing, and it's fun to do, to be creative and go where no man has gone before. I think with harmony tapping and stuff like that, people have probably done it, but I'm not too sure if they have.
Well, you definitely started something way back in the day with the whammy bar, and it was nice to hear that on the first single you released. Started off with the classic whammy sound.
I love control feedback, uncontrolled feedback, you know, and I need to do more than that. But there is some more of that on the record, but not as much as I wanted to, because when I was doing it, I was really frustrated because I wanted to get into a big live room in the studio to do it, you know, or take it, the recording equipment to a theatre or a live gig and stuff like that, and do some more uncontrolled feedback, which I used to do way back in the early, on the first and second album, you know, and stuff like that, you know, because obviously I'm a big, huge Hendrix fan. So, I'm not too sure if everybody knows what I mean by controlled and uncontrolled feedback. But anyway, you know, that's the fun stuff that we all got to play around with live and in the studio. You know, obviously big influence was obviously Jimi Hendrix, you know.
Right.
And I love to be able to see him either in control or not in control, you know, or right. trying to be in control, but still having a lot of fun and good time with it, you know.
And it's pretty, you know, for people who don't play the guitar, who might be listening to this, it's incredibly hard to control feedback. It
is, but the more that you have it, more experience you have with it, the more then it starts off as uncontrolled, you know, but the more experience you get with it, you can learn to control it, you know.
Right.
It doesn't always work, you know. It's like an unleashed animal. You're never always certain that you're going to be in control, but you know, when you're improvising live on stage, you kind of get used to it. That fact, you know, that if I move over here, then that feedback is just going to change up, you know, the notation of it, and you can move about, and you can almost create something with it. And that's what the great Jimi Hendrix used to do, and I used to do it live way back, even before we ever recorded a record. And it was good, you know, and some nights it was amazing, other nights not so good because you lost control of it. But, you know, you could move a couple of feet this way and you could get this note, and you could move here and it would change, because the harmonics and the connection between the guitar and the amplifier and the speakers, you know, you could play around, and sometimes you could go absolutely. Anyway, I could talk about this all night long, but what I'm going to do when we play live, I tell you what, I'm going to be doing this stuff. Yeah,
nice.
I'm going to be doing it.
There's a sweet spot on the stage.
Yeah, and it's you know, you can get closer to it, get something a bit more intense, you know, and but this is the kind of stuff that people like me like to do.
It's fun to
And
listen
work
to. It's fun to
and
listen
work
to.
and work with it, you know,
Yeah.
and work with it and try and be creative with it in a improvised solo. So yeah, I miss doing all of that stuff, you know. So look out for all of this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be happening. Not particularly in the guitar solo, because I always used to do guitar solo way back, ever since I was very young, you know. Because solos, drum solos, used to do bass solo, drum solo, guitar solo. Used to do all of that sort of stuff, you know.
I don't remember ever seeing you do a live solo guitar piece on stage.
I've got recordings of it.
Really? I've seen
Yeah.
I've seen you probably 4 or 5 times, and I don't ever remember a KK Downing guitar solo.
No, it kind of got curtailed, didn't it? You know, when it was more, but like I say, the recordings I've got, when we were a 4-piece, we used to play some sizable gigs, you know, just myself, Rob, Ian, and our drummer, you know, John Hinch. Yeah, I used to do some of that. I've got some recordings as a 4-piece, you know.
You should release those, you know.
Yeah, I should.
Yeah, you should.
You know, playing some of the classics like, well, most of the first album, really. You know, so yeah, I have them.
I want to hear them.
So I'm going to be, you know, I'll do all of this stuff when we come around and play it live, because obviously now I can.
Right.
KK's priest.
Right. You can do anything you want. Exactly.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Another thing, one more guitar question, but it was so nice to see in Brothers of the Road, you brought back the Gibson V.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I said to AJ, let's put those, because he came round to my house one day and he said, look what I've got, you know, somebody, because some people in life always have all the luck, don't they? Somebody actually gifted him this guitar. And I said, that's an exact replica of my 1967 V, you know, which Gibson have made, you know. Because Gibson did come over to see me, and they booked him to see me, and they wanted to take measurements of that flying V, you know, because they'd lost all the measurements and stuff. They spent hours taking measurements, but they did do reproductions of that flying V. But AJ's got one, and I, you know, so and because I've got the flying V I played, can I just say this, was a gift to me. I'm lying, I do have luck. And the great guitar player, we all know him, is a superstar. Zakk Wylde gifted me that guitar, and I'm really, really grateful to him that he did. And he signed it, in some big gold, and it's still there. All the signing is there. So thank you, Zakk, for that, because the guitar's out now and performing, and it's in the video. So we had a great time doing that. Loved it, you know. Loved it.
Fantastic.
It's great.
Fantastic. So let's
you
talk
always,
about
you always get a story on top of a story with KK, right?
That's what I want. You've got tons of stories. I remember that from the last time we spoke. That was an awesome time.
A big hi to Zakk, and a big hope you're well if you're out there, Zakk, and playing around, and hopefully we can do some gigs together. And stuff
Zakk is a beast. I love listening to him.
Yeah, me too.
He's amazing. So let's talk about the title of this album. It's Sermons of the Sinner. Now, you are the sinner, obviously from a reference back to the old song. How did you think of this name, and what does it mean to you?
Well, you know, it means the world, to be honest, Ken. I mean, I could probably sit here for a long time because, like I say, you always get a story with me. But, you know, well, the whole album is very poignant, emotional. You know, the message, you know, the rejoicement of this wonderful music that we do. And there's also a couple of red flags, warning signs, you know, that, you know, the endangerment of this wonderful genre of music that was created in such a short space of time. You know, everybody rejoices in it, everybody loves it, but I'm not sure if we're doing enough to protect it and keep it going. And because we're losing friends along the way, you know, and sadly, and it's terrible to hear, you know, sometimes, you know, people, you know, are passing on, and one day, if we're not careful, we'll all be a page in the book of sermons, you know, or in the history books, you know, and 20, 30, 40, whatever the time might be. So, you know, a big part about this album is like saying that, hey, you know, I'm here, alive and well. We can still create music like this, you know. You know, the Maiden, Iron Maiden, the Mighty Maiden are coming out with a new album. Scorpions, I think, are coming out with a new album, you know. And so we've got to keep it coming, guys, and we've got to keep creating this music for younger musicians, younger or older musicians, to be encouraged to think, yeah, this is great, you know, I want to be a part of this. And there's plenty of music yet to be had, and I hope this album, Sermons of the Sinner, can actually be a part of that, you know, to keep everything going and keep metal strong and powerful. But I say, you know, Sermons of the Sinner, yeah, people relate to the song, and I was obviously a big part of that. But also, I wanted to, maybe it can be a little bit deeper at that. Maybe I have become the sinner in some fans' eyes, because a lot of the misinformation has gone out there as to what happened. You know, I'd just like to touch on that. I mean, you know, when I quit and my voice wasn't being heard, and I was very frustrated in 2010, we all agreed to end the band. We were about to embark on the Epitaph tour, which was the final farewell tour. We were ending the band. I just decided I didn't want to go forward to do the final tour, because I didn't think I would enjoy it, and I wanted to enjoy it because things were not right in the band. Everything had come to a head, and it was ugly. It wasn't right, and I wanted my voice to be heard, you know, so that I could go and enjoy the farewell tour of the band. But if that wasn't going to happen, I jumped ship. But it was the end. They didn't tell me they were going to carry on for another 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years. It has been 10 years.
Yeah, that was a secret, was it? You know, because we all agreed it was the end. So I told them I wasn't going to do the farewell tour. We had all the press releases, everything about the end of the band. It was going to be the end of the band, however long the tour was going to be, you know, and my replacement was coming in to do the farewell tour, and that was it.
Right.
But those guys told the world that I'd retired from the band. But we were all retiring. I've got the press statements here on file. We were all retiring, you know. So it seems, obviously, it's pretty deep, but those guys didn't want to tell the world why.
Right.
I decided to, you know, and they didn't tell the world that I had changed my mind a couple of months later, and I was speaking to Ian about doing the tour, you know, and had him send me the set list over. You know, they didn't tell the world that either, but they still sent out the press release, ignored, you know, my intentions of doing the tour, you know.
Wow.
So it's a big story, but anyway, I'm kind of the black sheep, labeled as maybe the sinner. So I want you to, these are the sermons of the sinner, the songs, and hopefully the album will explain a lot of things. But I was the one that was very loyal, always loyal to Judas Priest, because in 2010, Rob did a tour with his own band playing Judas Priest songs, and he did release 2 studio albums. All of this was getting more than I could take, Ken. And And that's what happened,
Right.
So, but anyway, lots of water under the bridge. There's a big story still to be told. I hope the fans, can find it in their hearts to believe that the set of circumstances was not what was supposed to happen. History was changed, and it's been changed since, with the opportunity of me potentially being able to step back into my role. I've been denied that. The media have been denied that, but fans and history have been denied that. So, but here I am, the band, I'm happy. I'm in a great place. I love the music. I love the band members, and that's why I decided to hang on, to the name Priest, because I am a priest. I've been a priest since 1968. I've always wanted to be a priest, and if those guys who I've never met can be a priest, can go out there on the road and make money, playing my songs, guys I've never met, well, fine, best of luck to the guys, but I can be the priest as well.
Right.
And he can be, and Ripper can be a priest, and Les can be a priest, and Tony and AJ, we can. And maybe it's a good thing to have two bands creating, hopefully, credible metal,
Right.
Because I said before, we do need more bands. We need more bands, creating this style of music, and
Yeah, I agree. Well, listen, you've got another interview coming in. So I just want to say thank you for this. The music is fantastic. Hopefully you'll get out to Canada when it's safe to get out to Canada. I don't know when that's going to be.
Absolutely love to. Yeah, lots of, obviously, hardcore metal fans in Canada. We know that. It's always been a great home, for me and the band. And so we look forward to bringing KK's Priest. We'll shoot all the way across, from left to right, or right to left, as we usually do.
Yeah.
Stop off through Kananaskis country. Some great golf courses there.
There you go.
Stop off at Lake Louise and have a few beers, and who the hell knows. But we'll see you guys as soon as we possibly can.
Fantastic. Best of luck and congratulations one more time.
Hey, thanks a lot, Ken. Thanks for the interview, mate, and you take care.
You too.